Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today I have a special guest with us. He's an author, and he has a book out right now. Listen, you can find it on Amazon or wherever you get your books, and it's called Demon Seed. I have with us Jason Davis. Jason, welcome to the Horror Realm.
Woo! Hey,
Yeah.
thanks for having me.
You too, man. You too. So, Jason, let's jump right into it, man. Tell us a little bit about Demon Seed.
Well, Demon Seed, my latest book, is actually to me, it's my favorite book I've ever written because I felt like as a writer, I was a little kid in a candy store writing it. It is about this 9-year-old boy who his nightmares begin to come alive, and as he is trying to survive, his parents are trying to protect him. Family, friends, all trying to protect him and keep him safe to the best of their abilities. And it's about his survival as all these creatures are chasing him.
So, listen, that sounds like a terrifying fucking story. What gave you the inspiration for this story?
It's kind of funny. It actually started out. It started out a number of ways. When I wrote my book Hatched and Caught in the Web, my Invisible Spiders series, I have this vision for that being this pre-apocalyptic series that is working its way to an apocalypse. And I have this eventual plan of getting into the apocalypse, and I wanted to create the villain for that series. So this book started out coming out with the kind of doing now I feel like if I say too much, it gives too much away, actually, because one of the things people tell me about is they never see the ending for this book coming. Mm-hmm. So if I tell you where the inspiration really, really came from, it kind of gives away what people say is the best part of the book. So when people read it, they can ask me.
because listen, nightmares are like, I have vivid nightmares. I'm probably one of the few people that have vivid nightmares, and they're nightmares that actually stick with me the next day, and I can tell you exactly, the whole entire story. Are you the same way? Do you have those vivid nightmares?
Occasionally, most of them have become books, but
I can see that.
There is actually what I consider to be, back when I was just out of high school, I had this one very hyper-intensive dream, as I would say. And when I woke up from it, the monster that was from that dream, I actually put into this book. And of all the monsters, I feel like I made him the least scary. Maybe as a way of, making him less scary. Because to this day, I think about how that monster still creeps the hell out of me.
Yeah. Now, as an author, one of the things about, so I interview filmmakers as well. But one thing about as an author, you don't have that visual. How do you build, that visual for that reader? Because a good author can build that visual aspect for a reader where it's almost like they're there and they actually see it.
I feel like to answer that question, I have to build to the answer on that. I actually got to writing books because I started out in junior college. I loved writing. I wanted to be a writer, but I took a film class and fell in love with film. And so I went to film school, Columbia College in Chicago, because I went wanted to direct and write films. Now, having failed trying to make independent films myself, I kind of wanted to go back, and I still love getting my story out. And part of the issue I had with making films was it was really hard for me I could put them onto a page, but when it came to trying to describe my thoughts to the people working with me on the film, I had a hard time expressing that to others. So now when it comes to writing, though, I feel like what I do to give you exactly what you're asking about is that I close my eyes and I just picture it. I close my eyes and picture what I see happening. So, and I just put that onto the page. And so many people, when they read it, a lot of the reviews always say that it reads like watching a horror movie.
I love that. That's not when you're reading a good book. I mean, that's when you're reading a good horror book. Like, it's like you're watching a movie.
Yeah. And I agree. I mean, when there's a tentacle coming after you or something, or a spider bursting out from, your insides, I'm sitting here, and I will sit here like this sometimes, be typing it, because I'm like, pulling that visual and putting it into the page.
What do you think, Jason? You've done a little bit of filmmaking, and you also, a horror author. Why do you think it's so hard for filmmakers to adapt a great horror story into a great horror movie?
Because in books you have thoughts, and in movies you gotta find another way. You have to find other ways to express those thoughts. When we're reading a book, we get to actually be a part of that character and get into their mindset. And you have to try to show that in other ways when you're creating the movie. So you have to, do more of the story that way. Plus, there's just the page to screen ratio. 90 pages of a script is a 90-minute movie, but you see most books are around 300, 400, 500 pages. So it's, you gotta cut some things out.
Now, what are some things that you do personally as an author, Jason, to sharpen your skills? Do you write short stories to keep those creative juices moving?
I keep writing. I try to get at least 600 words in a day. Even on my worst days, I still will knock out at least 600 words. Thankfully, I've got so many ideas for books right now lined up that I pretty much have like ideas planned out through 2027 for, releases. And that's at putting around 3 to 4 books out a year, So, I just keep going. And the thing is, when you're writing, I think the hardest thing for like neuro writers when they get into it is that they will fear writing something bad because it's the first draft, and you can't be afraid of that. If the words aren't coming out well, but you have the idea that you're trying to get across, still get that down, because you can keep yourself moving. And when you get to the second draft, you can come back, start working through that area and work it out. Fluff it up. Fill it up. Then that is just keep moving. And I think of it to myself as when I get to what I call he said, she said scenes. And I know that he said, she said can mean a whole different context and for a whole many different things. But for me, when it's in context to my writing, what I'm referring to is it's a scene that is going very drab, very boring, but it's just me getting the bare bones into the scene, so that way I can come back to it later. I do find it funny that I call my chapters scenes, coming from the film world. I always do that, and I don't mean to. But, I am always, I worked on this scene. No, that was a chapter. But, I always think of them as scenes.
Now, when it comes to, your gruesome stories, has there ever been a point where you're like, damn, I can't, this is too much?
The book I'm currently editing right now that's coming out in May is 90% of that. And it's I feel bad for my editors. I feel like I'm about to write an intro for it, just saying I'm sorry about this book for what you're about to read, because this is by far the sickest, scary, most disturbing thing I've ever written. That describes it to a T, and it is, I feel, I've never pushed myself to that limit before, and I will probably never again. But yes, I have reached that point, and I know there's going to be people out there that love this book. I am probably going to hide it once it goes out, because It's both a book that I love and hate at the same time.
Now, so when you write a book like this or any book, do you read your book afterwards?
Yeah,
Go through?
well, you have to read it to edit it.
Oh no, I'm talking about after it's edited, you get your copy, it's out on the store. Do you ever like go through your bookshelf and crack open one of your books and read it?
um, I have in the past, but not in the reason why you think. My first book, Inside the Mirrors, had a lot of editing issues. It's been through so many editors at this point, you would think it would be the most perfect book out there, but you can still find errors in it. But because I just re-released it at the end of last year, so I had to reread it again. And, I did it then. I plan on doing the same thing with Hatched and Caught in the Web next year because I'm going to be coming out with a third book in that series. I want to reread through then. But do I go back and reread? Not for fun. Usually just to, refresh myself with, this and that. I will say this. When I've listened to the audio versions of the book, I listened to Dead Friends nearly all the way through because the narrator did such an amazing job on that one that I just loved it. And then I've only heard the first chapter of Demon Seed, and Darren Marlar, who has narrated most of my other books, just nailed it in a way that I've never heard him nail an audiobook before. And I cannot wait until he finishes the rest of that book because, well, I've said Demon Seed's my favorite. I love this book. I love it. I feel like it is the best thing I'm ever going to write. It just, to come from writing Dead Friends that took nearly 6 years to write and is this monster of a book that's 722 pages to not even having that, edited yet. And I just started working on Demon Seed and it took me 2 months to write, this. It's half the size, yes, but still that's 6 years, 2 months, that's a huge time difference there, but it just flowed so easily. It was just a book that came together like nothing has ever come before for me.
And one of the things you brought up earlier is reviews and hearing from your fans. Listen, by the way, anybody who's watching, it's so important to review authors, especially indie authors' books, because it definitely helps them out and a lot. So definitely do that. Now, do you pay attention to your reviews? Do you, or is that something you just like? I'm just going to leave that here because that's going to.
I plead the fifth. No, I may or not check for reviews about 3 to 4 times a day to see what people are saying. So, but yeah, I do read them constantly. With Demon Seed, they've all been coming in so positive. I've been, sharing them out to all the socials as quick as they come in because, it's spreading the word. And, just the positive reviews that I've been getting from it have been great.
And that definitely motivates, it has to motivate you for your next book. All right. So right now, when it comes to, indie horror authors, it's more accessible to get your work out there now with small presses. You can do self-publishing. There's tons of viewers right now who are thinking about writing their first book or self-publishing. What's some advice that you can give them?
Well, like I said earlier, just keep writing every day. When you have an idea out there, just keep writing. The biggest advice that I would give is if you start a project, no matter how much you get another idea, stay with the project you're working on. Don't start jumping at ideas because then you'll have about 50 started ideas and not one completed idea. Keep working on one. Now, what I'll do is if I come up with ideas for other books, I use OneNote. I just put the little note in there and I have a whole list of books that I'm going to get to eventually, it's like, okay, so this one. And then I will sometimes have fun with playing, okay, so which order am I going to do? Which one will be next? And I keep chugging along on the one I'm working on. So
Now,
I just
are
keep.
now are book festivals a good way for indie horror authors to get their name out?
They're
Or
an excellent way. I wish I could make it out to more. I can't, but yeah, I used to do a lot of them. In fact, I'm the founder of the Chicago Horror Film Festival in Chicago, but I had to walk away in 2010. I founded the Indie Horror Film Festival. I um, I founded the Madtown Horror Film Festival. So I've been a part of all these festivals, and they're a great way of promoting books. I've been at Flashback Weekend in Chicago, and they are an excellent way of getting yourself out there. In fact, uh, Booze and Brews or Brews and Booze coming up in Indiana. It looks like a great event in August. I wish I could make it. For any author that's trying to get their name out there, I would highly recommend it. It is the way to meet people. It's the way to meet other authors. It's a great way of just building that camaraderie and really getting those relationships built up with your fans and other the community.
do you think I've heard that the vendor prices for authors are getting kind of expensive? Is that something you heard?
It depends on where, what event it is, and stuff like that. If you're worried about the price, I would say start small. There's almost always a newer event that's starting out, and it might be a lot cheaper. You always run the risk though of not having a lot of turnout, but the biggest thing I would always tell anyone is always be humble and always respect the turnout you get, because if it's one person or 50 people or a few hundred people, be happy with it. Don't be one of these authors that starts complaining about not having anyone show up, because it kind of gets a bad reputation out there.
Yeah.
But just stay humble. The biggest thing I would say, and this is what I feel has always worked well for me, and one thing that I highly believe in, is the promoting of myself as well as the promoting of others. So if I am being a part of an event, I'm going to promote the heck out of that event leading up to it, and that is helping both promote the event getting better and bigger, as well as promoting myself. So promote them just as much as you promote yourself.
I 100% agree. I mean, I do the same thing. If I make an appearance at a film festival convention, I try to promote the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm promoting myself as well, like you said.
Yeah. I've always, gone by the ABP, always be promoting. So,
yes, yes, every day.
Ever since I watched Glengarry Glen Ross, I always, I converted the ABCs to the ABP. I always be promoting. So,
But Jason, listen, where can everyone find you?
Well, I have my website, jasonrdavis.com. I have, of course, you can find me on my author page on Amazon. If you go through my jasonrdavis.com, it will take you to my Etsy shop, which is where you can buy my books directly.
Nice.
And there's pretty much, if you search for me, well, I can't say if you search for me, you'll find me, because there are a million Jason R. Davises and Jason Davises out there. There's a lawyer down somewhere. There's a movie star. There's just about everything if you look for Jason Davis out there. But if you go to jasonrdavis.com, you'll find me.
And the link will be down in the description. So please click on it and grab your copy of Demon Seed. Jason, it's been a blast to have you on, man.
Yeah, anytime.
Yes, and I look forward to running into you and at some horror book festivals in the near future.
Yeah, I was at Spooky Frog just a few weeks ago. I just heard that she's trying to get the next one set for, I think, in September, and that, I can't make any guarantees, but I definitely hope to be back out for it, because it was a great event in Milwaukee. I loved being there, so I'd love to make it out to the next one.
How's the weather in Milwaukee now? I heard there was some snow.
Yeah, well, we got 6 inches, so it was just a light dusting.
Okay. See, here in Baltimore, that's a lot. Like we lose our mind with 6 inches. So, yeah.
I love to rub that into anyone who has not lived around snow too much about, they get a little bit of snow and they're all freaking out. I'm like, we have had snow here. I remember it was it April? I think it actually went to the beginning of May one year where we woke up and had a few feet of snow just show up overnight. It's like it doesn't end. And then by that week, and then by that weekend, it was 50 degrees. So
yeah, that's the Midwest for you.
That's Wisconsin.
All right, listen. Yes, Wisconsin. Listen, everyone, please support Jason. Link down in the description. Grab your copy of Bad Seed. All right, everyone. Well, thank you. Yes. Demon Seed. What did I say? Bad Seed?
Bad Seed, which actually would not have been a bad name if it was just a little bit of a different book. I actually like it.
Demon Seed. Everyone, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and that's my man, Jason Davis. We'll see you next time. Take care.